Hey, wait. Mind if I bend your ear about something? Anivia is outside your door, leaning casually against the shelf. So, here's the first and most important thing. Bed gave you a crucial mission. I get that, and I know you'll get the job done. I saw you in action. But here's the rub. By spending you out on an errand, we are weakening our defenses here. If they come at us while you're gone, I don't know if we'll be able to fight them off. Do you want me to stay here and guard the tavern? You what? No! Your task is far too important. You can't just hole up here and all cozy like waiting for demons to knock on the door. We need to take the fight to them. But if those freaks try to make a move on this place, Bet will send a runner to get you. If that happens, you leg it back here, alright? Cause if you don't, you'll be coming back to an ash. Got it? Well, when do you think they will attack? Your guess is as good as mine. It might not be here, they could attack the whole damn city. Those vermin know they've lost the upper hand and that we are going to push back hard. If things kick off here, you should know, after the attack, some things could be changed beyond recognition. So if you've got any business that needs taken care of, you better do it soon. Well, everything seemed clear so far. What else do you wish to discuss? So there is that damn beetle left with the scythe. Yeah, well, it cut the city into two, and it's kinda difficult to get across. My scouts tell me that a halfway decent place to set up a crossing is Market Square, not that any of them try to make sure. But if you've got a mind to go across, and I think you're gonna have to eventually, you may wanna give a square a once over. Thank you. Later, watch yourself out there. Those swallowed by the darkness have found freedom at last. However, the welcome light of the day and glimmers up ahead by no means herald an end to the trials. The dwarf resembles an abandoned citadel, one whose high, crumbling walls are still holding fast, but whose empty, lightless windows make it clear that all inside is dead. Ah, it's you. Good work back there, in the grey garrison. Name's Stanton Vane. Have you heard rumors about me? His face, which looks like it has never known anything as carefree as a smile, grimaces. Just so you know, everything people say about me is true. What do people say about you? They say I'm a traitor, as bad as Alev Vorlesh, that I am a disgrace, even among the ranks of the condemned, that the King Walfrey should never have spared me, that I belong on the gallows. Why do they hate you so much? You really don't know? Stanton gives you a long, morose look, then sigh. I'm the reason why the Crusader forces are holed up in the fortress on the edge of the Worldwound, instead of bringing the fight to the demons. We used to have our foothold in the Wound, the mighty, unassailable city of Dresden. We used to have it until it fell, and all because of my stupidity. I gave the enemy our main citadel. I was tired. They wanted to execute me, and rightly so, but the Queen intervened. She said I should live and fight in order to undo what I have done. So that's how I live. Decade after decade, fighting in the condemned. The dwarf shrugs. And as you see, I have fixed nothing, and I have earned no unforgiveness. Are you going to spit in my face still? You wouldn't surprise me. You keep leaving and fighting with no hope of anything better because that's what the Queen ordered you to do. There's honor in that. You might be right, but you know even stone and iron get worn down over time. I know what it means to live in a regimental life, but I cannot rely on my discipline alone forever. I pray to Torag, though he doesn't listen. That may that my body breaks before my conscience does. A whole city fell because of you. How is that even possible? What do you mean, how? The knight glares at you from beneath his furrowed brows. If you don't trust the world of condemned, go ask somebody else. Like my little brother, Joran. And if you still don't believe it, where's it to me? But if you are about to ask me to recount the story of my disgrace for the thousandth times, don't. You really don't have any friends? I couldn't have survived this long if I were completely alone. Joran, my little brother, he keeps me going. He's never abandoned me. Everyone else shies away from the likes they might catch what I've got. Even fighters in the condemned console themselves by thinking, I got stripped of my rank, but at least I'm not starting. Commander Tirabate seems to be the only person in the whole army who remembers that I'm a soldier and not a droge. She has no qualms about taking me into battle. She had some mud flung at her in the past, or so I hear. That's why she tries to keep an open mind about people. It's not surprised that she's the only one who holds onto her sense of reason in this farce. So many years condemned, surely you have paid your penance by now. That's not up to me to decide. My life is in the Queen's hands. He falls silent for a moment, and then in trembling voice, he adds, the condemned isn't the worst part. All these years I have prayed to Torah for forgiveness. Countless times I've gone to his priests. Countless times I've kneeled before his altar. If only the father of Dwarvenkind would answer my prayers just once. Not to restore what I've lost, but just to tell me that I'm still one of his children. But it seems he doesn't give a damn about me. What can I expect from mere mortals when my own god doesn't think I deserve redemption? I need to talk to the elf who calls himself Storyteller. Do you know where I can find him? A storyteller, huh? Stutton strokes his beard in thought. A strange old elf, that one. He used to sit with me for hours, asking about all sorts of things. He never offered judgment or comfort, he just listened. At first I wanted him and his question as far away from me as possible, but later I realized that talking to him did ease my burden a little. I hope he's alive and well. He's completely blind and feeble too, so if he's alone in the city, well, you probably know what that means. I do know one place he might be. Look for him in the Blackwing. It's a library. Here, I'll show you where it is on the map. I don't know what the library is to a blind elf, but he loves the place. He would sit there day and night. Hirori's motto is endured. By the way, before I go, Hirori's motto is endure and renew. Don't let the hardship break you. Use them to become stronger. Sutton gives you a long, gloomy look. That's a good advice for someone full of vigor, who's never faced any real adversity. When true hardship comes, it doesn't ask you permission or break you, it just breaks you, and there is no coming back from that. Here, take this. Yes, it's 2,000 coins. Take a payment and remember that Hogus Guerm always keeps his word. You helped me get back to the surface and I duly paid you for escorting me. Now keep of our future cooperation. Now speaking of our future cooperation, Hogus looked at you with unvarnished disapproval. His arms folded across his chest, his foot tapping impatiently. I have a job that would prefer for someone like you. Naturally, I'll pay generously for your service. Rejecting just a lucrative proposal would be highly prudent. If you're not outright ridiculous, please at least hear me out. You shall be my bodyguard. You see, I have good reason to return to my mansion here in Canabris. I still have, well, it doesn't matter. It's none of your business. My mansion is a breathtaking building with a large garden in the wealthy part of the city. Even before the demons attacked, every thief and fraudster in the city had tried to get inside. Why me on the other? I shudder to image the state of it now. I have little hope that my guards were able to hold the mansion during the attack, and I expect that the servants fled when they saw the demons. Only Abaddon knows what's happened there since. Therefore, I would ask that you meet me at my mansion and guard me there until I complete my business. I already asked for local paladins for help, but they have no desire to set foot outside the tavern. Damn cowards and traitors, that's what they are. Also, please do take Camille with you. I trust the girl more than the rest of your gang. She's of a noble birth, after all. What do you mean for the job of someone like me? For an adventure ready to sell their soul for booze, and then lie down drunk in the gutter? Or do you think you are somehow different? A traveler knight perhaps, noble of heart, but without a coin to your name. Hogus sizes you up critically, then sighs and shrugs. You seem a reliable enough ally to me. And you did get me out of the Mogul caves. So why should I care what you do with your money once you've got it? Hogus seems like one of those people who thinks the entire world owes them something. However, you hear notes of hysteria beneath his smug arrogance. It's as though he's really quite nervous, but taking great pains to control it. Noble birth doesn't give you the right to behave badly. I would ask that you refrain from such statement in the future. Hogus puts his hands to his hip. Oh, really? How impudent! No one dares tell Hogus Guerm how to address the rabble. So, what kind of reward are we talking about? 1,000 gold coins, Hogus replies without hesitation. Double the reward and nothing about it. Yeah, right. For the kind of money I could hire the Queen Galfrey herself to guard me. 1,000 is my final offer. I'm not interested. Hogus bores into you with inquisitive eyes. Why do you refuse? You don't need the money, but you don't, perhaps not enough. Fine, I'll double the amount. You. Marvelous, most excellent. Hogus' face relaxes, smooths a few of the tense lines. I'll proceed to my mansion at once and wait for you there. Meanwhile, you needn't worry. I know the city like the back of my hand, but do hurry unless you want me to lower your reward. A strange figure towers over the bar, a huge, ungainly man with a skin so milky white that his blue veins are visible even from a distance. His bald head is equal parts lumpy and pitted, and blood-filled eyes stare impassively out at you from beneath his pale brows. The glass in the albino's large, clumsy hands looks dangerously delicate, as if one twitch of those calloused fingers would be enough to crush it. A gold medallion engraved with a tankard gleams around his neck. Or it'll be. The medallion you're wearing, that's a sacred symbol, isn't it? You are a cleric of Caden Kalian. I'm a tavern keeper, best in the city, the best there ever been, and I pray to the best god there is. Well, who are you? Turbino slowly takes your measure with his red eyes and finally with a gesture says, Gremlin Hawks, vampire. You're really a vampire? Gremlin gives you a look of reproach and then grudgingly answers, no. How did you end up in a Crusader city? How did anyone end up here? How did you? Well, them. With a huge hand, the tavern keeper gestures at the ragtag group of assembled in the room. The world is big, but still here there isn't a place for everyone. People who no longer have a life anywhere else, they end up here. Well, any news in the city? Albino looks around. There are demons everywhere, and you showed up. I see you're not one for talking. Glimsy gives you a long, mournful look and says nothing. Where is the place we're visiting then? If you mean places that normal people usually stay well away from, there are plenty. Like the Pitaxian wine cellar. Gabriel pauses for effect. Like the name of the place alone should make you quiver in fear. It once belonged to a Pitaxian trading house. Then King Iraveti came to power in Pitax and properly started changing hands. Soon after, the sales shop assistant was found in a ditch. Not all of him, mind, just his head. Numidian gangsters had taken possession of the place. They wanted to sell something stronger than wine on the street, and they ended up on a gallows. Then King Iraveti's number was up, so now the store stands empty and unclaimed. People say that a headless ghost wanders the place at night, moaning ghoulishly, oh. After coming to an end of the story unusually long by his standards, the tavern keeper takes a swing from the tankard. You don't ask me how it makes a noise with no head. Yeah, I wasn't there, I just stared like I heard it. A young man in a well-worn traveling clothes and a simple wooden symbol of Erasil on his chest is efficiently cutting a linen robe into strips to use as bandages. Despite his visible exhaustion, he works with zeal, singing some tune about red braids and ripe shavings of wheat under his breath. He raises his warm, chestnut-colored eyes to you. Are you one of the Crusaders? Thank you for defending those of us whose talent lie off the battlefields. I'm Jernau, servant of Erasil. Pleased to meet you. What are you doing? I only took my holy order recently, so my god has only bestowed me a little of his power upon me as yet. I'm sorry to say that the number of wounded fighters in this tavern is far beyond my power to heal, but there are reasons people say, have faith in gods, but look to yourself first. I may not be able to help the wounded with magic, but I can at least cut up bandages. Why are you running around here? Oh no, I was just passing through Canabres. I was sailing down that old man of ours, the great Selen River, to a village by the name of Chili Creek. I happened to land in the city on the eve of the festival, and I am ashamed to say I decided to stay for a day to enjoy myself, but I ended up staying in the city longer than I'd bargained for. Chili Creek, what is that? It's a small fishing village. It's not even marked on some of the maps, but people do live there. What they don't have is a priest. They have no one to heal their wounds, no one to offer prayers for a good catch, no one to give their dead dignified burial, and the world one is a stone's throw away, so I'll be setting sail of the Chili Creek to serve my god and my people. Once I've held Canabres, I'll be going there. If by the grace of the gods we all survive this, you should come and visit me sometime. You find the village here on the bank of the river. The priest marks the Chili Creek on your map. Aren't you a young and inexperienced cleric afraid to go to the borders of Wallwood? I won't lie, I'm afraid, but what can I do? Those villagers are simple people. Every day of their short lives they spend doing hard, honest work. That's exactly the kind of life I want. Something simple but meaningful. If I had centuries ahead of me, like elves do, I might have spread some 50 years or so to I would spend some 50 years or so to travel around the world. The young man says with a smile. Or maybe even 100. Why not? But I don't have time to spare, so I want to spend a short life in the place where I need the most. Even if it's dangerous, especially if it's dangerous. Well, I could use help, cleric? Jonah makes a helpless gesture. Erasil knows. I'd be glad to help you, but it's no use. My spell are depleted and I have no training in potion or scrolls. See this rope? I'm cutting out for bandages. It's the second to last one. A tall, fragile-looking elf sits in front of you, eyes closed. He is pale as a ghost, his arm wrapped in a blood-stained bandage. You spot other bandages on his body under his clothes, but even in such a miserable state, he manages to keep calm. Raising his eyes to meet yours, he says faintly, I am Thorn Autumn Haze, at your service. His pale lips are reddened by blood, but you see no sign of pain or fear in his eyes. Do you need help? After giving you a cold, intense look, he shakes his head. Do not trouble yourself on my behalf. A local healer tended to me. Besides, I come from a resilient, hardy people. My body will endure both the wounds and the poison delivered through them. Who are you? My name is Thornton Hayes. I came here from Aeon because I'm a hunter, and all minions of evil are my quarry. I won't say more than that, if you don't mind. We are strangers and of different races and cultures. I'd rather not tell you more than necessary. Who wounded you then? A sinner and accomplice of demon. The quarry I'm hunting in this inhospitable place. I'm Karal Pala. You can trust me, I might be able to help. After a brief pause, Fawn says, it would be impolite to refuse such a direct and friendly offer. Who is your quarry here in Mendev? I was hunting a fugitive, Descaride by the name of Kaelisa. It pains me to admit that there are heinous malefactors such as her among my noble kind. I managed to catch up to her in Canabres, and I wounded her. Then demons appeared in the city and was engulfed in flames. I was injured in a battle that ensued and couldn't free her soul from its service to her dark masters. He expresses no anger and hatred as he speaks, only compassionate sorrow. I'm sorry for your misfortune. I hope things will turn out differently next time. He pursues his lips. There is no need for pity. Our ancient kind is blessed with great longevity. We gain deeper understanding of the world than other races, and we learn our lesson better than anyone. That goes for learning from our mistakes as well. I survive, which means I will be more prepared when we meet the next time. How can I aid you in the hunt? Frank covers his eyes wearily. I thank you, but this is my mission, and I'm used to facing the manner of terrors on my own. I do appreciate your willingness to help. If you happen to meet Kaelisa, take caution. She has turned many innocent souls to the path of evil, and darkness has rewarded her with many gifts. Her appearance alone will tell you that. It is warped. The agate skin, the malicious stone, her blood-red eyes, the bestial teeth. She's more monster than elf at this point. Need to roll 20 to pass it. Where does Kaelisa looks again? Her eyes is dark, her skin is dark, her hair particularly white. Her red eyes can see perfectly in the dark, which to my dismay I've come to know from experience, but bright light causes her kind pain. I use an alchemical powder that exploded in a dazzling flash, and she cried out as if I had stabbed her. It's clear that this woman is a faithful servant of darkness. The marks of Kaelisa Master have left on her appearance say so much. Tell me something more about you. I won't hold anything back, not who I am, why I made my way here, or who it is that I am pursuing. Oh no, of that.
We march ahead.
Hey, Chief! Ooh, hey, gorgeous. Come over here. I want to talk to you about something. Something really important.
Quit bothering the decent people in here, Woljif, or I'll knock your teeth out!
What's it to you, Delvin Dum-Dum? You were told to guard me, and I'm not stopping you. But no one told me I had to shut my trap.
Who are you?
Woljif. Woljif Jefto. I deal in useful things. I can get you whatever you want. Anything. But there's just one problem.
Shadow, what was that?
Get me out of here and I'll tell you. And don't worry, it's not contagious.
So why are you in chains?
Does it really matter? Don't get hung up on the past, Chief. Don't look to the future. Live in the here and now.
He was caught thieving.
Now what do you want from me?
I'll lay it out for you. Simple job, 30 minutes tops. We go someplace, talk to someone, and in return, whatever you want, I'll get it for you. Some extra rations? No problem. Armor, weapons, scrolls, you name it. It's as good as yours. If you need my help with something, whistle and I'll be there. I'm handy enough with knives too, and even my magic know-how isn't too shabby.
What a load of guff! If you were good at magic, you wouldn't be stuck in here now, would you?
Don't you listen to him, Chief. He'd find fault with the Queen herself. I'll be useful to have in battle, and I'll sell whatever you want at a reasonable price. It's your lucky day. You won't meet another gem like me in Canabras.
I can't help you while you are chained up here. How can I free you?
That's easy. You know Irabeth? Feisty-looking gal, always wears armor. You can't miss her. She's the meanest fighter in the whole city. When you see her, put in a good word for me, will ya? Tell her there's this guy, Woljif, locked up for no good reason in the Defender's Heart. Well, for the follies of his youth. And he really wants to get out on bail so he can keep up his good behavior and make a contribution to society. You got that? Will you do it?
Alright, I'll talk to you about your situation.
I knew I could count on you. Knew it the moment I laid eyes on you.
Look what we've got here, Commander. Are you too mad? Whatever posed you to steal the gem golem from the Tower of Estrond? We didn't steal nothing, Commander. We saw some looters dragging it down the street. That shiny fella belongs to the treasury. The initially alone is worth more than the castle. Jordan, see to it that one lays so much as a finger on his golem and plucks out a single. It's going too fast. A greasy dwarf turns the blade in his callous hands, carefully inspecting his edge. When he sees you approaching, he sets the blade aside and greets you with nods. A new face in the city. You picked a good time to come to Canabras. As you can see, we are so need the warriors. Oh, do you know everyone in Canabras by sight? Well, not everyone, but I'm making my business to know the people who might need my services. A blacksmith work isn't just the anvil, you know. We've got a few of your kind in the city. The smith shook his hand in annoyance. Now I'll be honest with you, you won't last long here. By hook or by crook, tieflings will run out of the city, even if they are thrice blessed paladins. It's shameful. Oh, he's the Stantonville brother. Yep, where he goes, I go. That's how we always done it, even before the World Wound. I forge the armor, he goes into battle and breaks it, he brings it back to me, and I repair it and make it better than before. Everything changed since then, of course, but that part stayed the same. How was Stanton blamed for the fall of Dresden? I've told this story so many times already. Well, telling it once more won't kill me, the blacksmith signs. Dresden was built after the First Crusade, back when it seems like victory was ours for the taking, and that the demon invasion would soon be at the end. The population of old Sarkosis was thoroughly diminished, and many of them hoped to see their hard fighting repaired with small plot of unclaimed land. Dresden was a fortress built on all of our hopes and unmended ambitions, though you are not supposed to say that aloud. What a city was, Kalalpala. You can't even imagine. It was built by the finest engineers from the Five Kingdom Mountains. Queen Galfrey spared no expense. Dresden was meant to be the capital of the Crusade movement, a monument to its glory and a beacon of hope for Golarion. Heroes were drawn thereby to seek fame and glory, and they came from all over. Taldo, Garoon, Tianxia. I couldn't list them all. A relic known as the Sword of Valors was kept there. The banner that had been carried into battle by Yomida herself, back when she was still human. That banner protected the city and kept the demons from teleporting inside its walls. As long as the banner was in place, Dresden was invincible, or so we thought. But when the World Wound suddenly expanded, the demons launched a new onslaught, and folk started saying it was time to declare the Second Crusade. Dresden was unassailable, until one young officer was tempted by a beautiful woman. She convinced him that the banner shouldn't be hanging in the city, that its rightful place was on the battlefields. She whispered honeyed words about glory and valor, and convinced him that he could be a hero as great as Ayamida herself. And the poor fool believed her. He rounded out some of his hot-headed friends and carried the banner outside the city gates on an unauthorized foray. The demons slaughtered them with seconds, but for some reason the courageous ringleader was spared. A whole army teleported into Dresden. It was bloodbath. Jordan solemnly shook his head. As you can guess, that officer was called Stanton Vane. And the woman turned out to be a demon. Not just any demon. It was Minago, that foul wretch. She's given us a lot of grief here in Canabras too. Just don't ask me what I'm doing while my brother was of Haven traced with that beast, and why I didn't save him from his own stupidity. The baffling gestures, as if towards of the inevitable reprobation. Who could have guessed it would end like this? I failed my brother, that's the truth. I blame myself every day looking at his plight. So that's the story. So why do you have a forge here in the tavern yard? Wherever I am, that's where the forge is. A true master of any craft will always find the tools they need. I miss my old forge, of course. It's now just a pile of charred stone and metal. But I've still got my hands, and that means I can work. Do you recognize this sword? Do I recognize this? Of course I do. I made this with my own hands. That is my brand, see? The dwarf carefully takes the sword in hands, gazing at it as a doting father. Oh, Yaniel, things have been tough without you, but at least we've still got your sword. That's something. Jordan returns the sword to you. In battle, ordinary swords get blunted, they break, but some days the weapon can preserve. I don't even know how to explain it, I'm no authority on these things, but something like an echo of the dead done with the weapon. Or more like the reflection of the wielder soul. I don't know. I will say one thing, take care of the sword. Yanya may no longer be with us, but the demons will still remember why they need to turn tail and run when they see radiance. Ah, ouch, the scabbard are all worn. We can't be having a fine sword like this being carried around in this statty thing. I'll make you a new one if you like. If the city stands strong and we both survive, come to see me again and I'll see you. Ready, no charge.
Our path leads on.
Anivia in her muted colors blend almost perfectly into the background. She appears relaxed, but her seemingly unfocused eyes are taking in everything around her, tracking and flickering potential threats. The only tell is that the way she drums her fingers on her hip near her weapon stealth. She shows no sign of her injuries and confidently leans on her previously broken leg. She pretends to have just noticed you, even though she watched you approach from afar. Oh, hey. See how they patched me up? Now I can run, jump, or dance a jig if I feel like it. Come on, Olivia. Tell me a little bit about yourself. She shrugs with a lazy smile. I'd be happy to, but there's kind of nothing to tell. What's so interesting about me? Well, tell me where you're from. Nowhere. I was blown in by the wind and found in Cabbage Patch. She stopped short. Sorry, that's all habit of mine. I don't like blabbing about my past, but you said my skin, so I guess I kinda owe you to it. Not a clown around, right? I'm from Nidal, and I wouldn't wish my homeland on my worst enemy. You heard of this place, I'm sure? Ruled by monsters that aren't alive or dead, and the official religion is the cult of Zonkuton. I grew up in a slum like a weed between the cobblestones. I didn't have a dad, but I had lots of aunts and uncles. My mom cronies. No prize for guessing the kind of business she was involved in. They gave me a set of lockpicks as soon as I could hold a spoon, and while other kids were picking their noses, I was picking pockets. When I was 12, the monks of the Silent Shroud came for us. Creepy guys with their mouths sewn shut. They are the guards in Nistroth. Mom gave me to her friends, and we hid in the secret temple of Desna. I never saw my mom again. I lay low in the temple for the next few years, kept my head down, I washed floors, fetched water, listened to sermons. Funny things, after a while I started liking Desna teachings, but as soon as I was old enough, I was out of there. I left Nidal and got as far away as I could. Quite a rata group you've got here, from nobles to street thieves. You got that right. Only the best for you. What do you do if the knights and nobles fail to save the world? The lowlights are our only hope. Well, tell me a little bit about you and Irabeth. How did you meet? I was bumming around Timon a while back, doing this and that. Desmond Temple sometimes gave me odd jobs. You know, something they needed people with skills like mine. On the surface it was fine, I guess. After Nidal, the freedom of Riven Kingdom should have seemed like heaven. My chance to sit back and enjoy life. But I wasn't happy. There wasn't just any joy in my life. I was all alone. No one cared about me, and I didn't care about anyone either. I struggled to find a reason to drag myself out of bed every morning. Trying a stone around my neck and jumped into the nearest river started to look pretty appealing. One day I was hired to follow some fellas who the local authorities suspected were Razmiran spies. I was stupid, I made a rookie mistake and they caught me. It's like my body had already decided to do what my mind had been fighting, to finally put me out of my misery. Get someone else to kill me, since I didn't have the guts to do it myself. They grabbed me. I thought they got me on the spot, but instead they hog-tied me and dragged me off. And just like an animal going to the slaughter, my only thought was, let's get this over with. They brought me to the stinking cave, threw me on the altar, and I realized who it was. Kuthites from Nidal. They tracked me down after all those years, but I didn't care anymore. Wouldn't even have cared if they eaten me or whatever. We gotta go sometimes, right? So I was lying there, staring at those knives pointed at me, when a fate rolled the dice and hit the jackpot. Irabeth, there she was, storming into the cave. Picture it, I'm laying on the altar with all these knife-wielding maniacs around me, and suddenly Irabeth storms in. I thought it was Ayomida herself, facing her shining armor with her gleaming sword raised. She made quick work of the scrambling, chopping them up just like that. I didn't even have time to blink. She untied me, and then, Anivia's face lights up, she chuckles. She looked through the papers they had on the table, and she started swearing like a sailor. So much for Ayomida, hey? How did you end up Canabras? After almost becoming a human sacrifice, I knew I never wanted to leave Irabeth's side. Desna knows I fell for her insanity, and I fell hard. My misery was gone, and when Irabeth showed me what was in those papers, proved that the cultists had nests in her home city, well, I offered to help without a second thought. Anivia smiled warmly. She must have figured I couldn't wait to get revenge on the cultists, but I didn't give a damn about them. It was her. I'll go anywhere with her, even a crusade or into a jaws on the dragon. But I took to life to Canabras like a duck to water. I used to be an outcast whenever I went, but half of these crusaders are the same. After all, who's volunteered to tangle with demons on the edge of the abyss? You gotta be the goody two-shoes with too much honor and free time, or a misfit who's no love out in the normal world with normal people. People come here to run away from the debts they passed themselves, so I fit right in. What was left to living in Irabeth? It's like living. Without her, it wouldn't be. Seriously. If I were alone, I'd definitely be gone right now. Sure, somehow we argue, sometimes we argue, can't deny that. Sometimes we bang our fists on the table and it's so loud that the walls shake. But that's all about order business. But, well, I'll give you an example. I've kinda always wanted to move out of the broom closet we call a house and into something cozier. It ain't like they take a vow of poverty at the Eagle Watch. But every month, somehow most of our spare money is spent on Crusader business. Sure, I get mad about it, but Anivia makes a helpless gesture. It's part of why I love her so much. You know, Irabeth has that thing that matters most for a person, a purpose in life. She always got a reason for whatever she's doing. Her whole life is a crusade, and I just drifted around like a leaf in the wind until Desna brought us together. Now she's meaning of my life, so it really takes no difference if I live in a mansion under the bush. Why your responsibility needs no watch? And if you smiles evasively, nothing official. I'm not even an eye, you know. I'm just hanging around. You sure you want to know the details? Catching traitors and spies and cultists is no walk in the park. It's a delicate job. You can't always do it all with the letter of the law. What if I surprise some suspicious blighted at an official search? Everyone will know about it before long, starting with the cronies. Then again, sneaking into people's houses at night isn't exactly legal. Crusade can't be doing stuff like that, can they? Well, I'm not exactly a knight. She trails off. Well, aren't there any suspicious places in the city that I should pay attention to? There are a couple spots I wanted to check out, but I didn't have time. If there really is a den of cultists here, I would be good if you can swoop in there and bust some heads. You don't even need to search warrant, and if you shoot you in a crook smile. First one is the Silken Thread. It's a funny little tailor shop that doesn't take any orders and never buys new fabric, but they always seem so busy. They're busy with something in there, alright, but sewing it ain't it. Second one is Alchemy Shop, Topaz Solution, and they trade in everything, just not healing potion. Judging by the ingredients they've been buying on the black market, there's something fishy about alchemical rituals going down there in the place. A tall, athletic man greets you. His hair is prematurely grey and shorn close to his head in a military style. He is lean and well groomed, and a monocle twisted coldly in his eye. The bold set of jaw and his large but agile frame attest that he is a man who is always ready to be on the move. Greetings, I'm Hila, Venship Captain of the Pathfinder Society. I'm a superior officer among Pathfinders in this region of Mendev. However, the Society is running almost no operation here right now. Besides me, there are almost no Pathfinders here. Actually, I'm only stuck here because of my old feud with a demon worshipper known as the Spinner of Nightmares. I've had to work alone without the support of the Society, but I've made a lot of acquaintances among the local mercenaries and daring fighters. If you need any good fighters for an honest cause, talk to me. Tell me something about it then. What exactly are you interested in? I am a common Pathfinder. There are many others like me. Fate and my order brought me to this land. What society are you interested in? I'm a common Pathfinder. There are many others like me. Fate and my order brought me to this land. How did you end up here? I was working on an assignment for the Pathfinder Society, and then a demon worshipper named the Spinner of Nightmares abducted my daughter Lori. For the past 3 years, I've been trying to save her. During this time, I've become a specialist in scouting demon territory. I've implanted agents among the cultists. Truth be told, in pursuing the Spinner of Nightmares, I've been acting more on behalf of Queen Galfrey and the Pathfinder Society. It's a long story, maybe. Maybe I'll tell you the rest of it sometime. Hero frowns grimly. The Spinner of Nightmares is the true spawn of the Abyss. I fought her many times, but I've never been able to seize her by the throat. Tell me about your daughter. Hero smiles, showing his healthy white teeth. As a girl, Lori was just an angel. We lost her mother early on. She was left to follow my example, and drift there with little idea how to talk to a 10-year-old girl. But even with such a questionable parenting, Lori managed to grow up into a wonderful girl. Brave, smart, beautiful, and entirely unbreakable. She's always argued with me about everything. When Lori was 18 and told me she was going to be a Pathfinder, all I said was, alright. I knew there was no use to try to talk her out of it, and she was a fine Pathfinder. Hero's fist clenched with a painful sound and crack. I'll never forgive the Spinner of the Nightmare for taking my girl from me. Tell me about the Pathfinder Society. The Pathfinder Society is a global organization that unites opportunists and adventurers of all kinds. We explore the world and uncover its secrets, travel, and sometimes face down threats. In times of trouble, the latter becomes our primary focus. We've driven by curiosity and the desire to make the world a better place, and of course, some seek profit or hunger for glory. But in any case, it's hard work. They might send you anywhere on missions, weakling like little place in the society. It's more for a seasoned fighter. There are society lodges in many cities. The closest one is in Erosin. They are each led by venture captain, lads like me. The Grand Lodge in the Absalom, the center of the world, the Decemvirate sits there, the anonymous council of our leaders. Well, tell me about your confrontation with this Spinner of Nightmares. It all began with the task of Pathfinder Society arrive in Eosin with a team to investigate the sudden death of famous crusader, Baron Falron. We soon focused in on a small hospital for the wealthy, where Falron was being treated shortly before his death. It turned out that the gang of Baphomet's cultists, calling themselves the Labyrinth of Mind, had gotten a foothold at the hospital. They are obsessed with twisting the minds of the victims and tangled fragile people too weak to resist. The hospital was filled with perfect victims, isolated for weeks from the outer world, completely helpless. And when they returned, they were different, almost normal. But the moment they heard a certain phrase, something dark awoke in their minds, and then transformed into servants of Baphomet, ready to lie, betray, and even kill. The Labyrinth of Mind was prepared to infiltrate all the elite circles in Mendev, but Baron Falron stopped them. He was too loyal to his oath, and too resistant to the spells. He fought for his freedom until his strain broke his heart. We opened and cleansed the city of Baphomet pit of vipers. The den was cracked with sin and filth. They cast spell on each other, and the loathsome fanatics stepped real from the mines into the world. They dreamed of horrible and forbidden things, and they fought like mad. We burned the place to the ground and slaughtered everyone we could, but the leaders of the cult were able to flee, and they were set up on revenge. They abducted my daughter Lori, who served under my command in the Pathfinder Society. They left me a note full of tart insults, mockery, and sneers. From that note I learned the name of my enemy, the Spinner of Nightmares. A few months later I confronted that she was the leader of the Labyrinth, confirmed that she was the leader of the Labyrinth of Mind. My hand had begun. I would get Lori back at any cost. He looked gritty Steve with bulldog determination. Good luck, watch your back. Only trust the close friends. The enemy is cunning and treacherous. Shira smiles at you warmly. Hey there! During that march through the dungeon, we never got any chance to exchange a proper greetings. It's high time I shake your hand. Oh, well, are we at to tell me something about you then? Sira? Of course, ask anything. I'll answer honestly. Where are you from? I'm a little bit from Geb, a little bit from Katapesh, but mostly from the Knights of Ayamide. I was accepted and began my training at 14. I belong to their ranks more than I belong to any other place. You've gone to Mendev by a long road, haven't you? A very long road. Sierra looks at you cheerfully. A traveler is expected to have amazing stories. Unfortunately, I have only 3 tales of any interest, and I'd like to save them for our next feast. Otherwise, I won't have anything to show for myself when it's time to start bragging, and that just won't do, especially since I'll win the night with my cautionary tale of a battle with chupacabras. Isn't your attitude towards life and war too carefree, especially for a paladin? Was that a hint of reproach? If you are only just asking, then no, I don't think so. You have to know when it's time for jokes and when it's time for mourning, the right moment for joys and for sermons. And sometimes a good travelling story can be all those things. It entertains and purifies the soul. That story about the Chucarabras is one of the good ones. Picture a small town in Quadira, and down in the dungeon there was 2 murderers waiting to be executed. The gallows are already built for them. The rope's been brought, but sometimes life takes a surprising turn. Suddenly a paladin of Ayamide appears in the doorway and offers a murderous deal. If they go with her to fight some monsters, they'll live. If they survive, that's it. There's a big difference between immediate death and probable death with a glimmer of hope, wouldn't you say? So, here we are traveling through the desert, me and my friends, a priestess of Serenray, along with the little ratfolk fellow who's asked for our help, and the 2 quatroads. We get to the townfolk village and see the bodies lying around, all drained dry. We figured we have to fight vampires. That's how the little ratfolk described the monsters who attacked the village. That's why we went in all brazen-like. The sun was high and the vampire couldn't attack until dusk. But we never got a chance to look around. Black shadows, quick as the wind, attacked us from all sides. Not vampires, but chupacabras. One of the lads we put from the gallows got killed right away. The second ran for his life. That left me, the ratfolk, and Kyra. That was the name of the priestess, and we all steel ourselves for the fight for our lives. And just when we thought the end had come, with the chupacabras surrounding me like a pack of dogs around a bear, our ratfolk's friend wounded and down, and the teeth of the quickest of those blast monsters clench on Kyra's shoulder. Right then, when all hope was lost, the other lad from the gallows suddenly comes running back. He kills the beast attacking Kyra. I'm sure you know what a running point in a fight looks like. Well, this was it. A moment before, we were lost, and a moment later, we had it back under control. The chupacabras dropped dead, one by one. The little ratfolk is reunited with his family, who were hiding in the basement. The priest and I closed the eyes of that boy from the gallows who saved us. It was a shame he didn't survive the fight. May the gods keep his soul in his journey through life. That's a good story. He could have died in disgrace on the gallows, but instead he died a hero. And I fancy the stunt earning him some points in his final judgment. I'm smart to remember our journey doesn't end in death. Had it not been for that mercy, Milos, that was his name, would be hanging from the noose, and me, Kyra, and all the ratfolk would be dead in the village. Someone told me that this kind of deed done by an unkind person is 100 times more precious, but sometimes by the same token, the evil done by a noble soul is 100 times more horrifying. That's why I really wanted to say the chupacabras were just a good starting point. What made you become Paladin of Ayamide? Sheila gaze sharpens mentally, then she sighs. That's a serious question and a good one. You should ask it of your companions. But it's a long story to start with. 12 years ago, I was nothing like the person I am now. I roamed the streets of Solku with the other homeless orphans. I stole, I fought, I was hired sword for a bit. Not the proper origin for a paladin it is. Back then, Solku was a city of orphans, widows and widowers. Gnolls decimated the city regularly. My parents were among the victims. People there heard about new deaths before they finished mourning the previous losses. One day a group of kind knights of Ayomide brought a glimmer of hope to the city, but while others saw them as the saviors and protectors, I was busy pricing up the noble heroes and the gleaming mithril armor, wondering just how much one of them pretty swords would fetch. A thief lives one day at a time, that's what they say. I was the type that never thought past the next job. Anyhow, I was able to sneak into the night camp and steal one of the mithril helms. Sheila paused, her voice sad and measured. And I was right there when Agnol attacked the helm owner. Asemi was her name, and dealt a blow to her unprotected head. Agnol, like all of these other, she'd fearlessly driven from the gates of Solko. That one blow was fatal, and who was really to blame for her death? The Agnol attacker or the young thief named Sila? Even a seemingly small misdeed can have terrible consequences. Yes, you're right 1,000 times over. I hate to say it, but I just didn't see it back then. And if I had never got that lesson, my eyes would probably never have been opened. Who knows what would have happened to me if I wasn't for Asemi and her bravery and her death. Maybe the world would know Seal as a bandit, not as a knight and protector of those in need. There's a saying I like to remember: people rarely find redemption on their own, sometime must show them the way. But you were asking about what brought me into the ranks of Ayomide warriors. We all choose the paladin path for our own reasons. Some are guided by nobility of spirit, some by desire to fight justice. I became who I am through penance and debt unpaid. The day Asemi died protecting my city, I wanted to kill myself for the terrible guilt I felt. But then I realized I wouldn't make the world any better, and I decided that instead I'd try to take her place. I became who she had been, and protected the innocent that she would no longer be able to protect. What are the principles that paladins Ayomide follow? Sila smiled. I'll tell you, I like to recite our code. It feels like I said it 1,000 times, but I never get old. There's a string in those words. After a pause she begins, her voice slow and meditative. I will lend the weight of my sword. Without my heart to guide it, it is worthless. My strength is not in my sword, but in my heart. If I lose my sword, I have lost a tool. If I betray my heart, I have died. I will have faith in the inheritor. I will channel her strength through my body. I will shine in her legion, and I will not tarnish her glory through base action. I am the first into battle and the last to leave it. I will not be taken prisoner by mere free will. I will not surrender those under my command. I will never abandon a companion that I will honor sacrifice freely given. I will guard the honor of my fellows, both thought and deed, and I will have faith in them. When in doubt, I may force my enemies to surrender, but I am responsible for their lives. I will never refuse a challenge from my equal. I will give honor to worthy enemies and contempt the rest. I will suffer death before dishonor. I will be temperate in my action and moderate in my behavior. I will strive to emulate Ayomide perfection. Thank you. Well, what do you know of Canabres? It's complete chaos. It's lucky we're here to handle the rest, right? Sheila smiles brightly, then she gives you a worried look. Does the way I talk bother you? I know I can seem blasé. Many good people and our protector Terendel have died here in Canabres. A paladin of Ayomide is expected to be promptly respectful and solemn. But I prefer to face my troubles with a smile and a bit of common sense. Cleave is a weapon they use against you. It can undermine a warrior's spirit. It's better we hold off on grief until we've driven the last demons and cultists from the city. There's wisdom in traditions of mourning, and one shouldn't reject them, all the more so if an appropriate merriment could offend others. Mourners. Many people loved ones perish in Canabres. Sheila sighed. You may be right. I should keep myself in check more. Better discipline, more self-control. Quality is suited for paladin. Is fighting team all you want, or are you looking for something more? How about covering myself in glory and becoming the hero of 100 ballads? Or at least a dozen, if they are lively ones. Sila eyes shine carefully. Anyway, To be more serious, the area around the World One is the best place for a paladin who wishes to defend the weak and save good. Being part of the crusade is reward enough for me, but there's something that worries me. I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing my brothers in arms, but the Eagle Watch and the other orders are focused on just one aim, the war against the World Wound. That's why they can sometimes overlook the smaller things, ordinary misfortune, you know? I always liked being a wandering knight because any moment I could get up and get into the poor ratfolks whose family had been kidnapped, or an old woman whose favorite dog had just gone missing. So there's my answer. I don't have some big important goal, but I'd be happy to help those who need it, a little bit here and there. Irabeth said your friend Gianna Ardori is missing. Do you know where she should be? Irabeth is worried about her fighters, I understand that. I wanted to look for Gianna myself, so I didn't distract you. But since you are in this too, I could use some help. Gianna and I met in Canabras a few days ago and just hit it off. We went drinking together. We went to the Unforgivable celebration together too. But we got separated in the crowd, so we should start looking from the main square. That's where I last saw her. Sheila frowns. Gianna is a good fighter, even if she's green. She couldn't have become Ardori otherwise. I hope that means she's alright. Irabeth rubs her red and ties eyes. Any success? How is the city? He's okay. Irabeth, can I ask you some personal questions? Frau Nalita Irabeth notes, please, but I must warn you, there are some things I don't have the right to discuss. Tell me where you're from. I was born in Canabres. I grew up on a farm just outside it, but my way back home lay at the end of a long and winding road. It took me years of travelling through foreign lands before I came to be where I always belonged. How did you become paladin? A bitter smile appears on the half-orc's face. I don't much like to remember it. Believe it or not, the story of how I became a paladin is also a story how I failed to become a knight. My parents were crusaders. May their soul stands together in Naomi's celestial army. When I was born, they retired from the war and started preparing me to continue their legacy, but my father was an orc. You would be pressed to find a calmer, wiser and more pious servant of the goddess than he, but still, all his lives he was dogged by sideways looks and worship. When I grew older and it was time for me to save, I decided anywhere but Canabres. That was where my father had served loyally, and his only reward had been injustice. Besides, the witch hunters, led by the honorable prelate Hurlon, stalked the city with the very hand. Who knows what they have done to a strange girl with a green skin? Instead, I went to a smig that looks like a painful grimace across her face. You can laugh if you want, but I was young and foolish. I chose Lastwall, of all places. You can imagine how well that was accepted in the country that had been battling the orcs of Belsgen since the foundation. There were many there like me, but we were all treated as second-class citizens. To the locals, my green skin was worse than leopard scabs. Even my brothers in faith kept a distance. I took my vows, and the goddess granted me my powers of a paladin. But even then, not a single order would accept me into their ranks. I spent another 6 months knocking the doors before I realized the simple truth. As if I am not these people. I don't have to protest myself before them. So I left, as a paladin, but not a knight. I'm sure you can imagine what's that like. In most places, tieflings are despised even more than half-orcs. So how did you come to join the Knightly Order? I left Lastwall and went travelling. The goddess guided me and my path led me to where atrocities were happening. I often fought in exchange for gold, but never for unworthy aims, of course. I wandered the Riven Kingdoms for a few years, killing monsters and tracking down criminals. Sometimes I thought it was just wasting time, that my true place was in Canabres, but I pushed the thoughts away. I didn't even want to think about going back. In the end, divine providence had brought me to my senses. It happened in Timon. I was tracking a gang of bandits with my employee suspect was a cover for Zmiran spies. I managed to find the lair, but inside I found something far more dangerous than spies, an unholy temple of Zankuthon. When I broke in there, the cultists were about to sacrifice someone, the person who was destined to become my wife, Anivia, but that's another story. After I cut down the cultist, I examined the papers and couldn't believe my eyes. A network of evil cultists had spread throughout the Avistan, including Mendev. West, the documents clearly show that the allies, the Temple of the Ivory Labyrinth, had infested my native Canabres and were even among the ranks of the Paladins. After that, delaying my homecoming would be tantamount to desertion. Lucky was I was no longer alone. Anivia was eager to destroy the cultists as I was. Anivia and Aunt Hurry to Canabres, we couldn't trust anyone. The papers indicated that the cultists infiltrated everything. Luckily, I had some experience in investigating, and my beloved, the half was my Wamley. She knew her ways around working locks, tailing people and trailing information with the city bottom traders. Soon we defeated, alas, not the whole Hydra, but a few of its heads. Do you know who turned out to be the leader of the cultists? The commander of Eagle Watch. Can you imagine? While Prolet Holnus was chasing witches through the city, the enemy had infiltrated the very old responsible for internal security. The scandal reached the ears of the Queen. At first she planned to disband the order in disgrace, but then she offered the commands to me and put its salvation in my hands. Of course there was one small catch. I wasn't a knight, but I was made commander just the same, skipping the usual progression through the ranks. I can imagine the followers of Zankuthon in alliance with demon worshippers. Shouldn't they hate each other? They should. By Baphomet minions are masters of deception. They manipulate Zankuthon's butchery as eagerly as Ayomide knights. The cultists from the unholy temple didn't know the true face of the associates of Canabres. We ourselves learned the truth much later after getting to the bottom of the nest. Well, how did people of Canabres feel about your background? They tolerated it surprisingly well. I shouldn't have been so wary. Crusaders don't tend to be prejudiced as a rule. After all, heroes from all over the world, even from the continents, came here to fight the demons. Apparently the people were only suspicious of the full-blooded orcs. There were already many like me here, and we don't have any problems. Though the locals do have these superstitions, Mendev is a merciless as lustful. They just have a different set of victims. I kept seeing those same sideways look at scows, hearing the familiar whispers, but were once they used to whisper behind my back and point at me. Now they whisper in my ear and point at someone else. It's so strange to be one of the other side of humiliation, to wipe the spit from my face and suddenly be invited to change position and spit at someone else. You must have figured out by now that I'm talking about tieflings. I'm sure there are many of them among the cultists and few among the crusaders, and our fighters do all they can to drive away those who would be our allies. People shun them, call them Arleus born or worse, or if they choose to be born like that. I believe it's quite a feat to raise against the call of the one's blood and join the forces of God. Still, most only of them as the enemy. I once saw a knight bleeding to death because he wouldn't let a tiefling priest touch his wound. Alas, I haven't been able to change this in all my life in Canabres. Perhaps will you? I hope your example will show others of your kind that they are needless here, needed here. Perhaps looking at you, even some of the cultists will see that birth does not consist you to life the service of evil. Tell me about Anivia. We'll meet in Timon. As I was wandering aimlessly from one deal to another, we returned to Canabres together to expose the Temple of the Ivory Labyrinth. The day the Queen knighted me was the second happiest day of my life. The first was the day of our wedding. But Anivia isn't just my beloved, she's my staunchman ally. She share every victory and defeat. The best of me is alive thanks to her. Thank you for saving her back then, the day Canabres fell. Before her return, the only things giving me the strength to protect the defender's heart was the hope that I see her again. We are in your debt. Thank you for your answers. Well, tell me about Eagle Watch. It was a small order created to fight not only demons but also the enemy within, to maintain the purity of the paladin ranks, prevent heresy and identify spies, and it failed miserably at that. The temples of the Ivory Labyrinth infiltrated and formed a nest within its rank. After the Queen entrusted me with the lead in the order, Anivia and I practically built them from scratch. We got rid of dead weight, people who weren't committed, we organized way to translate message to an order safely. We introduced reliable ciphers, we found tacit allies around the city, from crusaders' orders to street beggars. It was my personal crusade to purge the city of the Templars who had infested it, and I thought it was winning. I could feel it. We were so close to driving the cultists out of Canabres, but Irabe frowns. It's hard to admit, but those successes didn't count for much once the demons entered the city. On the contrary, if it wasn't for you, there wouldn't be a headquarters of Defender's Heart. The cultists wouldn't have served up the city on a platter to the demon. The lines of Arabet forehead softened. Yes, that's true. It's a good thing. We achieved something. Thank you. These wardstones, what are they? They are our greatest treasure, the shield given to us by Yomita herself, our place in Canabres and are the Mendevian cities and fortress by the Herald. The chain of wardstone from a protective barrier that stops the expansion of the wardwound and keeps the demons from moving beyond its borders. I shudder to think that will happen if the barrier fails. So what is your main objective? You heard what the demon said. They're going to desecrate the wardstone and blow up the whole barrier around the wardwound. That would be an even worse disaster than the wardwound expansion before the Second Crusade. Not only Canabres, but every city with a wardstone will be destroyed, including the capital. We can't allow that, no matter what. We will retake it, even destroy it if we must. Ayomi the Gift must not become a weapon of the Abyss. There's a tiefling chained up in the darkest defenses. What can you tell me about him? Irabe shrugged comfortably. Waljev is a pretty thief from a gang of petty tieflings operating in Canabres. That's what we call them in these parts. They tried to rob Vend of magical items recently. Unfortunately, we apprehended only one of them, and the rest of them managed to escape. We have nowhere else to keep him apart from Defender's Heart, but that's hardly a prison. Wolfji's knows this too. He's been banging us for days to let him go free, to have someone vouch for him. He's already asked you to put a good word for him, wasn't he? Irabe squints at you, thoroughfeed and shrugs. If you want to recruit Wolji and put him to good use, go ahead and take him off our guards' hands. We can ill afford to let soldiers spend their days watching over the meddling thieves. I hope the tieflings proves useful, should you decide to take him along.